What is the future going to look like? What are the computers of the future going to look like? What are they going to be doing in this society that we live in? I don't think that's more than a part of the question that we really want to answer. I don't believe that predicting the future is really what we're about. After all, we ourselves, or at least the younger ones among us, are going to be a part of the future. So, being a part of it, our task is not really to predict it. Our task is to design it, to design a sustainable and acceptable world, and then to devote our efforts to bringing that future about. It is a task we have to face, because we're not observers of the future, we're actors, who, whether we wish it or not, by our actions and our very existence, are going to determine the future's shape. Well, what are the conditions of acceptability of the future we want to design? First, we must find a way for living at peace with all of nature, not destroying the bases for the survival of all of us. Second, we must find a way for sharing broadly and fairly the outputs of our productive efforts of all kinds, no matter how ample or limited these outputs are, in a sustainable world. Third, we must, as a necessary condition for maintaining any standard of fairness, find some way of greatly mitigating and, if possible, eliminating the innumerable and passionate divisions of we from they.
And for myself, I'm again one of these types of characters. My style is to deal with a single problem, namely the nature of the human mind. That is the one problem that I have cared about throughout my scientific career, and it will last me all the way to the end. Now, what is this question? For me, this question is, how can human mind occur in the physical universe? We now know that the world is governed by physics. We now understand the way biology nestles comfortably within that. The issue is, how will mind do that as well? And the second part of this answer must have the details. I've got to know how the gears clank and how the pistons go and all the rest of that detail. That's that question, and it's not the same as a bunch of other questions. For instance, it's not the same as what is the nature of intelligence. That is the AI question. And although I have been associated with AI for a large part of my life, that's not the question that drives me. This is the question that drives me, and they're not the same. And another fellow by the name of Oliver Selfridge came to Rand. I was at Rand at the time. And he talked about their system. They were producing a system on what was called the memory test computer for Whirlwind, and they were building a pattern recognition system which had several loops of self-adaptation in it. And I listened, and this wasn't a big seminar. He just got in a room with about 3 or 4 of us and described this effort for a couple of hours. And I listened to that, and I knew, okay, this is a genuine conversion experience. I walked out of that place. What I knew actually was that computers can do any kind of complex processing, including learning, abstraction, you name it. That was the collection of mechanisms there were sufficiently rich that we were on our way, okay? It was indeed a conversion experience. I went into the office of my colleague, Cliff Shaw, and I repeated verbatim practically what Oliver Selfridge had said in the previous hour. Then I went home that weekend and I designed a couple of whole systems from scratch, and I've never turned back since.